What's the Warren Buffett quote? Be fearful when others are greedy and
Oh,
greedy when others are fearful.
mm,
I think short-term rentals and Airbnbs are great. You have to be differentiated. You have to have some sort of advantage. You have to understand the market and who your travelers are. But what it comes down to is creating those experiences, understanding what shifts are coming in the market, and then having that vision for multiple years down the road. What's going to be the next thing?
all right, guys, welcome to another episode of the report. Today, I got someone who's doing big things in the boutique hotel investment space, used to work for Airbnb, and now he's developing and renovating boutique hotels up in Northern California, going all in on this new space. I got my man, Mike Demson. Mike, welcome to the show, baby. How we feeling today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Ooh, I'm so pumped for this conversation, man. So much to cover, so much to talk about with all the shifts that are going on right now. But first things first, man, you used to work for Airbnb, which I just now learned. What the heck were you doing for Airbnb, man?
It's doing growth marketing. Worked across email, Google Ads, Facebook ads. Worked with a lot of influencers and basically creating content for the brand. And it was a good introduction. I figured out what works in terms of design, marketing, and just positioning of
And
different
then now
properties.
today, you're taking advantage of the tightening Airbnb regs, the shifts in Airbnb, the trends that are going on right now. Give us big picture right now. What are you doing in the boutique hotel space?
You bet. So this last month, we closed on a development site in San Francisco, in North Beach, right next to Fisherman's Wharf. Amazing location. 400 Bay Street is the address, and we're in the process of building and getting building permits for a 16-key boutique hotel. It's basically steps to the main cable car, pick up and drop off, Pier 39. It's going to have a fourth floor roof deck, and you'll be able to see Golden Gate Bridge, Bay Bridge, Alcatraz. It's got a view of the Ferris wheel. It's basically right on the water.
That's huge, man. That's huge. So you just closed on that. And then you also got the Stonehouse, which you're refinancing. Talk about that project.
Bet. So we closed on the Stonehouse in 2023. That was kind of my introduction into boutique hotels. Really gave me an understanding of what it takes to renovate, reposition, and market assets. And we basically converted it from something that wasn't a hotel. It actually used to be a residential treatment facility. So it was like a rehab, if you will. We turned it into a 14-key boutique hotel. And the cool thing is it came with a 1.2 acre parcel next door. We're in the process of getting entitlements to build an additional 67 rooms on that parcel, and ultimately have reached an agreement with IHG to be the first in their vignette collection in Sonoma.
That's so cool. And is that a soft brand, or that's a full brand?
It's a full brand. It's like a sub brand under IHG.
I love that, man. So, obviously I'm bullish on boutique hotels for many reasons. One of them being is, we got tightening Airbnb regs happening in a lot of the markets across the country right now. I saw it starting kind of in, 2021 and 22, and now this is continuing to unfold. We're seeing a lot of boomers begin to retire, and a lot of these boutique hotels that we're acquiring, we're buying this directly from these retiring mom and pop owners, and a lot of them have not renovated their properties in decades. They haven't adapted to the times with technology. They haven't adapted to social media. They're definitely not using any AI. And so for us to go in and pick up these hotels that are underperforming, pick them up at a discount, implement the AI, implement the tech, get them a lot of visibility, good marketing, good revenue management, and then do a good job with the renovation. I'm seeing a big gap in terms of where we can acquire them and then what they can be worth, once we kind of get through with our business plan. Tell us a couple reasons why you're bullish on this space.
So when I started working at Airbnb, it was still a startup at that point. I was an early employee.
You were the only employee?
I was an early
Oh, early.
employee.
Got it. I was like, damn, this guy's,
Yeah, not that early.
this guy's older than I thought. You don't look that old, dude.
Yeah, I'm just a year or two younger than you, so
Okay.
not too far. But what I found is, things in San Francisco have changed a ton since I was there. The regulations have shifted to where you can only do hosted. stays. You have a limited cap on not only the number of Airbnbs in San Francisco, but the number of nights that you can rent unhosted. So, that sort of changes things on the commercial side. It makes it make a ton of sense because, obviously a short-term rental is valued based on, comps, what a property or what a house sold nearby. But the cool thing with hotels, which the more you can increase the operating income and, lower the expenses with technology, the better it gets. And that just makes a ton of sense from my perspective.
Yeah. Talk real quick about, how hotels are valued because, I think a lot of people, they get into real estate, they start buying Airbnbs. But what they don't realize is, no matter how much your property makes as an Airbnb single family, it's still going to be worth whatever the house is worth across the street on a price per square foot basis. Talk about that.
So there's really two approaches to valuation. There's a few more, but the main ones are comparative and, understanding what a house of, or a property that's in similar square feet, similar neighborhood, that's ultimately going to depend what your value is worth. And, I'm a believer in short-term rentals, whether it's, an individual property or a hospitality asset. But, the individual properties are going to be valued based on comps. Whereas, any sort of a commercial property, it's based on the income approach. And, I really like that because, leveraging technology, leveraging AI, doing a staff light model, that gives you sort of an unfair advantage. And then the cool thing is, we're doing, I'd say, the deep value add. So basically turning a diamond in the rough into a real diamond.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the development takes some time, but ultimately, the cool thing is you get to make every single choice that there is to make. What lighting, what the layout is, what the gym or what the facilities look like, what the roof deck is going to become. And, that gives you kind of an unfair advantage on the design side because you have to make all of those decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you look at the income approach, I would say, boutique hotels, self-storage, multifamily apartments, office space, these asset classes are more like a business versus residential. And so the way they're valued is generally derived through the income approach. So NOI divided by cap rate equals value. And so, hotels, for example, I would say on average, they're going to trade at an 8% cap rate. This is just generally speaking. And so just in this one example, if we can buy a smaller boutique hotel that, traditionally a lot of these hotels have innkeeper suites or innkeeper units, a smaller hotel, some of the smaller hotels that we operate, we don't need a full-time innkeeper, right? We just don't. And so we'll run a self-check-in, self-checkout model with the guests. And what that allows us to do is take the innkeeper, the manager's payroll, and now drops to the bottom line. And let's just say that she was making, $60,000. That $60K now drops to the bottom line. If you divide that by an 8% cap rate, you're now forcing $750,000 in overall value on that hotel. And that's not to include taking that innkeeper suite. And by the way, a lot of these innkeeper suites are often the largest room on the property, sometimes full living rooms, full kitchens, and sometimes even 2 bedrooms. And then renovating that room and then bring it online for additional revenue. And let's just say that room brings in an extra $60,000 net income throughout the given year. That parlayed with the drop in payroll expenses, you're now forcing $1.5 million of appreciation, just making that one simple move. And that's just one of the levers that we can pull buying these boutique hotels. Now, as far as operating remotely, I do want to preface with this. Like, I think hotels that are kind of that 16 room or less, you can do it. But I think once you get north of that, 20 or north, you really want to have some sort of front desk component. Or if you're in a market where you have a lot of walk-in traffic, you definitely want some sort of front desk component. I think it's definitely very, very important to have that. Now, with the smaller stuff, you definitely don't need the front desk. You don't need someone on site. You can leverage the maintenance team. You can leverage the housekeepers to do some of the on-site stuff as needed. But we got a 10-room boutique hotel. It was the first one we bought, Black Sands Inn up in Shelter Cove, and that thing's got a 4.8 star average on Google. And so the guests are telling us we actually like that it's a self check-in, self checkout process.
Yeah.
So
Dude, I'm a millennial, so I don't necessarily want to talk to someone when I get to a property. Like it feels antiquated and just kind of weird that you have to go wait in line in a lobby, give someone your ID, your credit card. Why? Has anyone thought about that? Is it actually necessary? For me, I just want to get there, have a code to enter my room, set my stuff down, and go out and explore. That's why I'm there. I don't necessarily want to hang out or be on the property any longer than I have to. That's just my perspective.
yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. And then I think to take it a step further, if you look, there's a shift in demographics occurring right now. The baby boomers are retiring, and it's estimated that 25% of the hotels that are valued under the 10 million mark are owned by these retiring boomers. And now you look at the people that are traveling, right? You got the millennials and the Gen Zers, and these demographics, they don't want to go out to eat at restaurants that our parents once loved, the Chili's, the Applebee's, the Sizzlers. They want to go eat and dine at these vibey experiences. And so you're seeing a lot of the chain restaurants, kind of phase out. But similar to the restaurant industry, same thing with the hotels. They don't want to go and stay at these same branded hotels that our parents once loved, the Hampton Inns, the Ramada Inns, etc. And they want to go instead stay at these vibey experiences. And as Airbnb goes away, these folks are still going to travel. And by the way, it's a proven thing that these demographics, the younger demographics, are now spending more money on travel and experiences than they are buying a home to live in, right? The homeownership percentage has gone down. And there are studies out there and polls that like a lot of these younger demographics don't value owning a home. They actually value experiences and traveling and going and experiencing the world, which is pretty cool to see. And I don't disagree with that sentiment. Personally, I don't live in any real estate that I own. I rent where I live. Yes, I do own real estate, but I don't own where I live. And so I can see that side as well. But I think as we see this shift in demographics and you realize, okay, Airbnb is going away, I'm logically just thinking 2 steps ahead. It's like, okay, people are still going to travel. These are the vibey experiences that people want to go travel to. Let's create that environment for the folks. What are your thoughts there?
100%. It's all about creating memorable experiences with friends and family. And, I think travel is a big part of that. I like Northern California. Our kind of buy box or the region that we'll look is, truly from Lake Tahoe down to the Monterey Peninsula. It's, not a huge area. It's all driving distance from Marin, which is where I'm based. And, I think there's some amazing places to go visit. Like there's Napa, there's Sonoma, there's the coast, even up towards Mendocino. And, I think the way people travel, what they care about and what their sentiment is about that travel is, that's changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I grew up, going to Marriott's with my family. And it was almost like that loyalty and that brand connection was, a part of those memories and experiences. And, the fact that, I get to create properties and opportunities for people to make experiences with their family and to, visit their friends and to experience these cool places like Sonoma and San Francisco. It's something that's pretty rewarding. And I don't take it lightly.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other thing I'll say here is in terms of the why that I'm bullish on is I think as Airbnb goes away, there's over 8 million Airbnb listings in the world. Over 8 million Airbnb listings in the world. And as Airbnb goes away, all these investors that have already done a couple Airbnbs, 2, 3, 4 of them, they already had the baseline fundamentals to do a boutique hotel. When I go to these real estate conferences, specifically the STR conferences, by far the most popular speaking panel of the entire conference is the boutique hotel panel. And every other person I meet at these conferences is like, yo, Rich, I'm doing Airbnb right now. I'm investing in Airbnbs, but I cannot wait to do my first boutique hotel. And so I feel, and I'm speculating, of course, I feel the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years time, it's going to be the next big thing, which is why we're going all in on it right now. And so those are some of the reasons why I'm kind of bullish on it. But you mentioned Sonoma Coast. You mentioned some of these areas up there in Northern California. I know you live in Northern California. We personally invest in California. Talk about some of the reasons you are bullish and on investing in California.
You bet. So I studied econ as an undergraduate.
Me too, man.
I thought that was a good
You're an
thing.
econ major.
Yeah,
Me too, bro.
yeah.
Where did you go to school?
Actually, my wife at Santa Clara
Santa
University.
Clara. Got
So
it.
that's like
Okay.
southern part of the Bay
I
Area.
love that,
And
dude.
I spent like 3.5 years studying supply and demand.
Mm.
And one of the things that, in my opinion, is, there's data to support it. Uh, Northern California, Southern California too, is, supply constrained. It is very difficult to build new properties, and it's even more difficult to, successfully operate existing properties. So, like you already talked about with, some of the shifts in, baby boomers retiring, I think it's kind of funny that, some of these properties are still taking reservations by fax. You may not see that very often, but
By fax.
there are properties that, like in Napa, like these tiny inns that are, 10, 12 rooms. They'll actually accept reservations that are faxed to them.
Damn, that's
Um,
crazy, dude.
and
I kind of believe it because like the first 10-room boutique hotel we bought, Black Sands Inn, all they had was a mom and pop owner. All they were using was a direct booking site. They weren't even on OTAs or some of these booking channels. It was just a direct booking platform. But yeah, anyways, you were saying.
yeah, so I mean, I really like the Bay Area just because, it is so supply constrained. So when you are able to get something built or renovated and updated, it, has the potential to appreciate. And that's, the main lever that I'm looking at. Cash flow is great. You got to have it to cover the debt service. That's important. It's nice to, have some cash for your own pocket and your investors. But ultimately, I'm looking to bank on large amounts of appreciation over time. And that happens because, your ADRs increase, your occupancy increases, and, there's a lot of shift in travel and people are coming back to the Bay Area. So it's a good market, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought this up because a lot of newer real estate investors that get in the game, they think it's all about the cash flow and the passive income. And yes, it's great, but true wealth is built through appreciation, not cash flow. And that's one of the reasons why I prefer investing in high growth markets, the West Coast. If you look at some of the areas in the middle of the country, for say, Oklahoma, some of these areas in Ohio. Shoot, I used to own a couple deals out in Cincinnati. When I first got in the real estate game, I thought, man, like this is where the cash flow is at. And so as I've grown in the game, my not transition, but my progression as a real estate investor has really shifted from cash flow to, okay, let's go into these high growth markets to where we can buy in a good location, we can force some appreciation, we can still cash flow because we're forcing a lot of new revenue growth and we're forcing a lot of different levers that can produce more cash flow. But as a byproduct of it, we're now forcing a lot of appreciation. Then by the way, because we're buying in good locations, we can hold long term and we can let time do its thing. We can let inflation do its thing. And by the way, the Federal Reserve has printed 80% of the money supply since 2020. And I believe there's going to continue to be inflation long term. And so with buying in these high growth markets, we can capitalize on that.
You said a couple things there. First and foremost, I think passive investing and passive income is a bit of a myth. It doesn't happen by accident. Sure, as a limited partner, you can do it. But, the value creation that you talked about is something that you have to go in with a game plan. And, by the way, the Federal Reserve, when there is a shift later this year, they're going to turn the money supply back on. It's going to cause interest rates, I don't know. I think they'll probably come down, but ultimately, I think they're going to be increasing the money supply and turning the printing press back on. So we'll see what happens.
Totally. And then not to mention 100% bonus depreciation just came back. That was huge. This year, 2025 was supposed to be 40% bonus depreciation. We're on a step down over the last 3 years. And so 100% just came back. That's huge for real estate investors. That's huge for limited partners that invest into projects and real estate private placements. But, I think all in all, I believe, like kind of big picture, I believe these next 5 months as we kind of wind down through 2025, is going to be an opportunity. If you can find the right assets in the right locations, I believe that it will be, we're seeing some opportunities shake loose, but I also believe that in 2026, I think it's going to be a rebound year. And I believe we're going to see some rate cuts in 2026. In 2027, I think we'll warm up. And so I feel like if you're out there right now listening to this and, you have some cash set aside and you're looking to get in the game or you're looking to expand your portfolio, I really believe that these next 5 months is a time to strike and play some offense because there's not a ton of buyer demand right this second. Rates are still high, but a lot of indication is pointing at some significant rate cuts come 2026. So we'll see. We're not banking on it, but if it does happen, I know that the market's surely going to heat up and we're going to see a lot of that money that was printed start to trickle down.
Yep. I think, right now we have a once in a generation opportunity to buy some great assets at a massive discount without a lot of competition. And I don't think that comes around all that often. So if you have the knowledge and the ability to get in on it, it's a good time, in my opinion.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you're looking to get into real estate investing, but you're like, hey, I don't have the time, but you want to participate in the passive income, the tax benefits, and the wealth building, my company, Summers Capital, partners with limited partners, people like yourself, and we go out and buy boutique hotels. We have a fund where we currently own 5 hotels, and we currently have a wait list for investors to participate with us. If you want to learn more to see if this is a fit for you, you can go to summerscapital.com/invest to inquire and get on our wait list and be notified next time we have an opportunity. Again, summerscapital.com/invest. Now back to the show. You mentioned the supply constraint with California, Southern California and Northern California. I always say you have, 4 major markets in California. You got the Bay Area, Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego. And if you look at California as a whole, you got mountain ranges to the east, you got the Pacific Ocean to the west, to the south, you got the Mexican border, right? And then to the north of San Diego, you got Camp Pendleton. To the north of you guys, you got more mountains. And so there's not a ton of land to build on, but also the bureaucracy and the red tape adds a barrier to entry. You're building some stuff up there, and it takes years to get permitting and entitlement done. And so because of that, it adds a big barrier to entry. And so you don't have a ton of development going on. Supply constraint, and let's not forget some of the best weather, some of the best beaches, some of the best climate in the entire world is out here in California, right? They call it a Mediterranean climate, especially here in Southern California. And so, as more and more people move out of these cold weather cities around the world, around the country, the Chicagos, the Cincinnatis, the Clevelands, the Boston, a lot of those folks, they grow up there, but they end up migrating out here to California for the weather. And as that happens, it just puts more and more money into this area. And because of supply constraint, that's what pushes pricing up.
Yeah, I'll use San Francisco as sort of a comparison to San Diego, just because I think, it's a market that I'm very familiar with. It's actually, in my opinion, a little bit smaller than San Diego because, geographically, it's 7 miles by 7 miles. You have ocean on 3 out of the 4 sides, and it's just like there is not a lot of space in San Francisco. And, I think 400 Bay Street is, I'm just so excited about that because it's just in the best location. And I think that has everything to do with, how assets perform and what the potential for appreciation really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the hotels we bought, Hotel Dega up in Sonoma Coast wine country, 44 rooms, right on Highway 1. Up in Bodega Bay, about an hour north of San Francisco. That's one of our best performing assets, and we stole that deal. 44 rooms. It was developed in 1988. Stayed in the family the entire time. Father had passed away a few years ago. Son took it over. Had poor management in place, and started severely underperforming. Decided he wanted to sell it, and he didn't want his family to know it was being sold, and so went to the broker, had the broker shop it with a handful of buyers. We caught wind of it, moved relatively quickly, retraded a couple times during the escrow process, and closed at about 140 a door, about 6.9 and a quarter after the seller credit. And again, it's 44 rooms on the water in Sonoma Coast, some of the most expensive real estate in the country. And I think to give perspective, 140 a door, comps are selling the high 200s, 300 a door in this area. But to give perspective, this is why I'm bullish on the boutique hotel investing game. It's like you can't find those types of deals in these other asset classes right now in terms of how they're performing and how they can be performing once you take over, implement a good business plan, some good marketing, some good influencer stays, some good tech, implement some AI and all that stuff. But I say all this in that area of the country, that area of the state specifically, is some of the most expensive real estate in the entire country. Why do you think the Bay Area has some of the most expensive real estate?
Supply and demand. Supply is always going to be constrained, not only because of the land, but because of the political and just the climate of the people that live there. I live in Marin, which is kind of like the NIMBY, not in my backyard, capital of the world. And it is crazy how people use laws like CEQA or environmental protection laws to sort of hide behind this veil of, they care about the spotted owls, which, it's great. You should protect endangered species, but don't use that as a way to artificially delay developments. And, I don't believe in progress for progress sake. I believe in the right kind of growth, creating, cool experiences that people are going to, get some value from.
Totally, man.
And that's, why we do what we do.
Mm-hmm. So you started a fund recently. Talk about some of the benefits of having a fund.
You bet. So, honestly, it came a lot from, conversations I've had with you and people in your group and your network. And we realized that it was the right choice because we already had more than a dozen properties in the pipeline. So doing single asset syndications for each of those was going to be a logistical nightmare. Our accounting and back office team is, they already do the accounting at the individual asset level, but, having a fund just made it simpler because we're starting to move further upstream, looking at larger assets, larger deals, and it just made sense to, think about forming the fund at that point, just because you run out of your own money.
Yes.
Ultimately, it's great. You push it as far as you can with your own assets and friends and family. But if you're going to make the kind of impact that you actually want to make, that requires partners and that requires leverage. And, you can't do that without, the right network and the right people.
Totally. 100%. As far as your network of investor capital, is it primarily friends and family? Where do you typically source capital from?
So right now we're working with both debt and equity broker, Siraj, and he's, brought some great relationships to the table. He's, helped us to really think about, what do we actually need to raise? What is, going to move the needle? And we circled up the friends and family. That was kind of the easy, phase one. We use that to do, I'd say half a dozen different acquisitions, and we're working across, residential, whether it's custom single family homes, condos, apartments. My favorite is hospitality, just because, it is a business. And, the fund is, going to allow us to scale and push it much further than, what we could have done on our own. One property in particular is in Larkspur. It's one of the best locations. It's right next to the ferry terminal, and it's going to be a mixed-use property. It's going to have 50 room boutique hotel. It's going to have condos, apartments, and retail. It's going to be like a walkable community. And, from an urban planning standpoint, you have the ferry terminal, you have the SMART train, plus you're like 20 minutes from San Francisco. So got a lot going for it.
Which project is this?
So it's the Ross Valley mixed-use project.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool. And so as far as the deals that you're looking at, would you say that a high percentage of deals you're sourcing come with a seller financing component?
So with interest rates where they are, I think, seller financing is a non-negotiable. You've got to, first and foremost, not be afraid to ask. Obviously don't ask on on the first conversation with the seller or broker, because that can kind of position you, I don't want to say as weak, but, as someone that, maybe couldn't close without it. But once it comes time to actually, sign and get a deal over the finish line, the more that you can seller finance and get creative with, the better, because that gives you, a longer runway. It could be 3, 5, 10 years interest only. And, what that allows you to do is essentially reinvest those profits back into a hospitality asset and to ultimately, invest more into marketing and, grow the property even more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. As far as the tax benefits, obviously we touched on 100% bonus depreciation coming back. Touch on cost segregation studies. What is a cost segregation study?
You bet. So if you look at a development, there's windows, there's doors, there's all these different things that go inside, cabinets, trim. The IRS has a schedule of, what you can depreciate each of those assets or each of those items for over time. I really like cost segregation studies because for our investors, they're able to take that depreciation and essentially front load it. So take, instead of something that's over, 7, 15, 20 plus years, you basically take 60 or 70% of that in year one. And, now we're at 100% bonus depreciation, which, I think that's going to be a really cool thing. And the way you layer that on with, cash out refinances, you can create generational assets that you never have to sell, that your investors still own. And they're able to return, in some cases up to 100% of their own capital. And that's basically like the BRRRR strategy, but for commercial properties. And it's just, the different tools that you have available.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think with the 100% bonus depreciation, obviously coming back, the cost seg studies, we talked about that. A lot of the income that you can receive as a real estate investor, as a limited partner, can potentially be tax-free or tax-deferred. Let's just say tax-deferred. And then obviously, a lot of the cash out refinances, they don't tax debt, right? So that's not taxable income. And so, you talk about some of these projects, they could be a 10-year hold period, 12-year hold period. As a real estate investor, as a limited partner, a lot of these projects, because of all the tax advantages, you can often expect to not have to pay taxes, which is a powerful wealth building tool. I mean, look at the 4 main pillars of real estate investing and how you build wealth through real estate is, cash flow, your tax advantages, you got your principal pay down, which is the loan being paid down every single month. And then number 4, which is the biggest lever, especially here in California, in investing into value add boutique hotels is forcing your appreciation. Those are the major 4,
You can't beat that. You don't get that sort of leverage or that opportunity if you're investing in the stock market, which I still have, 401k. And
do you?
Yeah.
That surprises me.
I rolled it over into a self-directed IRA.
Okay.
And then, I have it, some in a money market fund, some just in the S&P. But, that's essentially what I use to fuel some of these acquisitions. And you still get those same benefits. It's a pretty cool vehicle. Definitely recommend, if you're a business owner, have a solo 401k or SEP IRA that you self-direct. And, you can put that into real estate when you have a deal or when you have an opportunity, or invest it with other syndicators and groups that know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would say 25% of our limited partners invest through a self-directed IRA. A lot of people have self-directed, or not self-directed, but a lot of people have old 401ks or IRAs from old employers that are sitting around collecting dust. They often don't even know how much is in there because it's been a long time. They don't even know which custodian it's with. And, I always say like, okay, well, if you have a IRA or 401k that's sitting around from an old employer collecting dust, you might as well look into it, see how much is there. And because that stuff grows over time, it might be worth a lot more than you think. And then you can roll that into what Mike's alluding to, a self-directed IRA. And then the self-directed IRA will allow you to invest into a lot more different options. And some of those options do include commercial real estate. investing into private placements or into becoming limited partners in some of these real estate stuff, like our fund, your fund, which is a pretty good wealth building tool. And so it allows you to get your feet wet with real estate investing, learn the model as a limited partner. And I always say that's one of the best ways to kind of learn the game is to start off as a limited partner, invest $100,000, $200,000 as a limited partner, get your feet wet, see what it's like, behind the scenes. And it's one of the best ways to kind of get in the game, I think, because it's also going to get you in the room too.
Yeah, it's access to information and access to capital. That's ultimately what is going to matter. And starting as a limited partner is a great way to understand what the different strategies are, what the different levers that you can pull can do. And yeah, I think it's an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What are your thoughts? I'm curious, what are your thoughts big picture as we look and navigate over the next year, 2026 and into 2027? Give us your thoughts and predictions in terms of interest rates and where cap rates will go.
So I think interest rates and cap rates, they're always somewhat correlated. I think, if the Federal Reserve chairman changes, or when they change, it's, it will be likely that we'll see interest rates decrease. I think, depending on the market, you could also see cap rates compress too. So values will go up. I think it'll become, more favorable to do cash out refinances, and, there's going to be some good buying opportunities ahead for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think big picture, like as I kind of think about our conversation today, a couple of key takeaways. It's like, okay, number one, Airbnb is going away in a lot of markets around the country right now. We saw what happened in New York City. We saw what happened in San Francisco. We saw what happened in LA. I live here in San Diego. They just slashed the Airbnb supply from 17,000 Airbnbs to 5,500. And then as this happens, we're also seeing a lot of markets around the country get oversaturated. So oversaturation is becoming a real thing in a lot of markets. We manage Airbnbs in a lot of markets around the country, and those Airbnbs are not pulling in the income they once were back in 2020 and 2021. And so we're seeing it firsthand what's going on with the Airbnb climate there. And then if you look at the amount of Airbnb influencers that are out there teaching people come off the couch, get into Airbnb arbitrage, shoot, you don't even have to own an Airbnb to get in the Airbnb game. But all those influencers are pretty quiet these days. I've noticed online, on social media, online, podcasting, all those Airbnb influencers have been very quiet these last couple of years. That should be a telltale sign. And then meanwhile, as people are getting into the Airbnb game, I'm like, guys, you are late to the party. We zigged back in 2022. We got in the boutique hotel game, and we are taking advantage of all those tightening Airbnb regs by going all in on the boutique hotel game. People are still going to travel, but as Airbnb goes away, the 8 million plus listings in the entire world, a lot of those folks that are staying at the Airbnbs, they're still going to travel. Where are they going to travel, right? So we're just thinking 2 steps ahead, and that's why I got into the boutique hotel game. And the last thing I'll say is, 40 million retiring baby boomers. They're calling this the greatest transfer of wealth in American history. 40 million retiring baby boomers over the next 6 years. It's estimated that 25% of the hotels out there that are valued under 10 million are owned by these retiring baby boomers. A lot of their properties are tired. They haven't been renovated in decades. They're not using any technology. They're not using any social media. They're definitely not using any AI. So it gives us a massive opportunity to come in, pick up these hotels at a discount, add a lot of value, implement the tech, implement the AI, and implement a lot of good marketing, revenue management. And it allows us to force a lot of appreciation. And then the last thing I'll say is this. When I go and speak at these Airbnb conferences around the country, hands down, the most popular speaking panel at these conferences is the boutique hotel investing panel. And every other person I meet is like, yo, Rich, I'm investing in Airbnbs right now, but I cannot wait to do my first boutique hotel. And so I believe in a matter of 2 years, 3 years, 4 years time, and I'm speculating, of course, but I believe in another 2, 3, 4 years time, boutique hotel game is going to become the next big thing. And that's why I'm very bullish on it. But it's funny because when I see all these people getting in the Airbnb game right now, I'm like, guys, you are a few years late to the party. We're zigging when others are zagging, and that's the name of this game. You got to take the information that's given to you, and you got to be able to digest and pivot and keep growing, man. That's the game right there.
What's the Warren Buffett quote? Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. I think short-term rentals and Airbnbs are great. You have to be differentiated. You have to have some sort of advantage. You have to understand the market and who your travelers are.
Yeah,
But
yeah, absolutely.
what it comes down to is creating those experiences, understanding what shifts are coming in the market, and then having that vision for multiple years down the road. What's going to be the next thing? And like you, I think hospitality is an amazing field. Whether it's flagged, boutique, there's going to be some great opportunities coming down the road.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. Like, I was investing in multifamily before. I still own pretty decent amount of multifamily product. Unlike that asset class, and unlike some of these other asset classes like mobile home parks and self-storage, the cool thing about hospitality, specifically boutique hotels, it's kind of sexy, right? It's like we get to take a tire product and really put our prints on it, put our vision into it, renovate it, design it. And the design element is huge. The finishes, the design, you're doing ground up development. That's something that, we haven't gotten into. It's something that we're not going to get into right now, but maybe down the road. But you're doing that, and that's even more of a clean slate, a blank canvas, if you would. And unlike those other asset classes, I think hospitality is cool because it's more marketable, it's more sexy, and you can really put your vision into these properties, which I really love.
Yeah, I think the unfair advantage with hospitality compared to like an apartment or a condo is really the Instagrammable moments that you can set up for someone. The experiences and the guest experiences is what's going to separate one property from the next.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike Demson, I appreciate you coming on, my man. And by the way, Mike is a member of our boutique hotel investing mastermind community. That community keeps impressing me every single day. We got about 120 members now. 50 hotels owned now. 50 hotels owned collectively. Forward-thinking, like-minded individuals. If you guys are interested in being a part of that community, you're committed to buying a boutique hotel, maybe you own a couple Airbnbs, you can go to hotelinvesting.com to book a free call. Mike, appreciate you so much. Where can the folks get in touch with you if they want to learn more? And more importantly, where can they get in touch with you if they want to invest?
Instagram, LinkedIn, Mike.Demson is the handle. I'd say, if you're a short-term rental host, think about joining the group. It unlocks an amazing network. It's an incredible community. I just sat down with a bunch of people from Northern California in the group just this past weekend. And
shout out to Josh and Natalie.
Yeah, dude, amazing group of people. It's a good group. Everyone's there to support each other and ultimately grow and invest together and collaborate. It's a good group for sure. I wish I had joined sooner. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful for you being a part of it, my man. We got to get you out of our Tulum retreat, October 2nd through 5th, bro. It's going to be popping off, man. We got all the best guest speakers out there. Mikey Taylor, Carlton Dennis, Jack McCall, King of Debt, Isaac French, Ben Wolf, Bethany LaFlamme. The list goes on and on. We got Mel Robbins, creative director, going to be there as well, man. But we got to get you out there too.
It's going to be an amazing event. There's just such a depth of experience, and having the opportunity to actually sit down with those people. I think what you're doing on the VIP side is pretty amazing. You get to sit down, get time one-on-one with you and some of these other people. It's if you got the time and the capacity, think about it.
Yeah, this game's all about being in the right rooms, my man. So go shoot my man Mike Demson a follow at Mike.Demson on Instagram. And where can folks get in touch with you if they want to invest?
LinkedIn, Instagram.
There it is. My man, Mike Demson. He's Mike Demson. I'm Rich Summers. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.